Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
What goals did you set for 2025? If better sleep is one, Symbiotica's magnesium L-threonate helps you wake up refreshed. For gut health, their glutathione supports digestion and reduces bloating. Symbiotica is one of the most transparent brands out there, never compromising on quality or sourcing. Their products are free from seed oils, preservatives, toxins, and artificial additives, something you can taste and feel in every packet. Go to Symbiotica.com and use code IHEART for 20% off and free shipping. That's Symbiotica.com, code IHEART.
Okay, I'm just saying, bring a little more energy in the second show.
My energy is fine. You bring more energy.
Okay, now you're being defensive, Heath.
Why am I the only one who gets notes between shows?
We'll talk about it later. Let's just see what Eli did to the studio.
Wait, it looks normal.
It does. Wait.
Hey guys, you ready to record?
I guess so.
Anything? But before we get started, is there anything you want to show us for the FDR episode?
Yeah.
Nope, not really. Just excited to get started.
Nothing. Okay. Oh, well, why do you have a blanket on your lap?
Nothing. I'm just cold. Just cold.
Let me see, Eli.
No.
There it is.
Yep.
What did you do to your legs?
Okay, fine. If you must know, to get into character for today's show, I injected myself with a teeny tiny bit of polio, but like our great president, I am going to ignore it.
What?
Trust me, it's going to be fine. The audience won't notice either.
Okay.
I guess.
Where did you get polio?
Brooklyn.
For those listening in at home, Eli crawled on the stage because we've never had a polio joke before. And we're going for all the horrible shit before our careers are brought to a close.
First for everything.
Take that, Bill Gates' mom. I love how some of you were so positive that you actually had to cut it out. You were like, yeah, oh no, I'm not a pro polio
Gave
joke.
up early.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, live from the People's Improv Theater in New York, New York. It is right. Despite what Tom might have told you when he sold you the ticket, this is not Hamilton.
We sold a lot of tickets, though.
Yeah, no, we did sell a fuck ton of tickets, though.
Right.
Instead, tough shit, too late.
No. Spent it.
It's the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm No Illusions. I'll be presiding over this episode, but I have to fill out my cabinet, of course. First up, I've got a man who says he's qualified to be Secretary of Veterans Affairs because he fucked a married soldier once. And a man who says he's qualified to be the Secretary of the Interior because his mom wouldn't let him play outside. Heath and Eli.
Okay, but to be fair, I was married to that soldier.
Well, right. No, you were.
We did have sex once, thank you.
Once.
It's true. Once in the marriage. That's right. I've had sex with a woman. Crushed it. Yeah, Heath, I've been meaning to tell you, you got to stop asking them if you won or not when you're done. That's really the problem. I did win, though. 1-0.
No, if you win, you have sex twice.
Different scoreboard.
All right, so also joining us tonight, a man who says he's qualified to be Secretary of State because he lives in one of those, and a man I tapped to be Secretary of Agriculture based on all the shit growing in his facial hair, Tom and Cecil.
Isn't the secretary the one that you pat on the ass on her way to getting you coffee? Like, how would you live in a secretary? That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't.
I'm gonna cheer it up a little. Tell an adorable joke. My beard is like a small farm. It even has a goatee.
For
those at home, we have shit tit signs. So, yeah.
Yes, if you want to see the shit tit signs, you have to come to the live show.
That's right.
One of them has a picture of poop and tits on it.
Take that, Hamilton.
All right. Now, before we get started, I want to thank all the fine folks here at the People's Improv Theater who worked so hard tonight to make our audience drunk.
Thank you, guys.
And, of course, I want to thank all of you for showing up to see us live. We like you people a lot better than the ones listening at home. Except the patrons. We also like the patrons a lot, but we like the patrons who are here more than the patrons who are as well.
Like those patrons more. A little more.
Yes.
All right, so with that out of the way, tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Today, Noah, we are going to be talking about FDR. And Eli, what does FDR stand for?
It is that's actually...
It's in the F.
So far, so good.
Sure, now you don't scream shit out. Okay. Frederick.
Nope.
Nope.
And Tom, you looked at the pictures.
That's
Frederick Douglass Roosevelt.
That's what you need.
I like that.
A diverse cast like us doing Frederick Douglass. That's what you need.
Fucking love Frederick
He's getting a lot of the
Douglass.
credibility he's due now.
He's doing some good work now. Mm-hmm. All right, so Tom, you looked at the pictures on this article. Are you ready to tell us about FDR?
I am. Noah, don't get up. He wouldn't have. It's fine.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of those, aren't there?
It's funny because he's... Okay.
All right. So for the sake of those on stage that literally did not know what those letters stood for when we recorded the skits, tell us, Tom, who is FDR?
All right. Well, Franklin Delano Roosevelt is best known as the four-term president of the United States who led America through the horror of the Second World War and made a couple of very fine deals. Now, personally, I think of him as a man whose several mansions were only marginally nicer than my own. When we celebrate a place like New York, when we're not talking about the garbage strike of 1911 or the garbage strike of 1968 or the garbage strike of 1981 or the garbage strike of 2006 or what from the present smell of the city I can only assume must be the present and ongoing garbage strike.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Cheer for that.
I think it behooves us to squint through our watering eyes and look at some of New York's most iconic figures.
Boo this man. Boo.
No.
Boo. NYC. Yes. 9/11. What?
Sorry, too loud.
Too loud. Way too loud.
Sorry.
Way too loud.
And incredibly close.
That's excellent.
Nice.
That's excellent.
Oh no.
That was a Pete Davidson joke.
Wow.
Amazing.
I ask you, what figure stands taller? What figure rises up above the fray?
Oh, come on.
What figure steps more boldly forward as a visionary leader whose triumphs and accomplishments will go down in history as having not only saved America itself from existential peril, but whose lessons have since been fully and profoundly ignored more than Franklin Delano Roosevelt?
Abe Lincoln, Barack Obama.
Okay, all right.
Greta Thunberg.
Hey, Heath, I feel like he wants you to say him.
Oh, sorry. Tom.
Yeah. Bring it on.
I love this song.
Kind of weakens the NYC chant, doesn't it?
To you.
You guys did the 9/11 chant. You have to do every fucking chant we come up with.
All right, born in 1882 in Hyde Park, New York, to James Roosevelt and Sarah Ann Delano, Franklin was fucking rich. Like, let's just go ahead and get that one out of the way early. Like, he was spectacularly, crazily, wildly rich. His family came from money, just generations of it on both his mother's side and his father's side. The Roosevelts were wealthy merchants and landowners. The Delanos were rich merchants and shipbuilders. And Franklin grew up the kind of kid who played polo. You know, like the kind of kid who...
No, polo.
Yeah, polo. Polo, guys.
Polo.
Later, we'll jump ahead. He was the kind of kid who, like, learned things like how to ride and row and shoot and play lawn tennis, you know? Like... You know, when you're driving past the nice high school and it's about 3:30 and all those rich kids clog the street in their BMWs that their parents bought them? Franklin was richer than those obnoxious fuckers. His 16th birthday present was a sailboat.
Oh, Jesus.
Boo FDR, boo.
Then he throws a spoiled kid tantrum. Mom, I wanted a steamboat.
He makes hard eye contact with mom, just like throws a Molotov cocktail onto the boat. Fuck you, mom. Fuck you. Hope you get polio.
All right, so in case
rubbing
any of you...
shit on you right now.
So in case any of you guys are still laboring under the delusion...
How you get polio.
That is not how you get polio. You guys...
You can get polio that way.
0% chance. In case you're still laboring under the delusion that everyone is equal and, gosh, we all have the same opportunities, I want you guys to raise your hands if this sounds familiar, if this sounds like your life. So FDR was primarily schooled by a host of private tutors, except when he was 9. And he spent a year in public school in Germany. It was no problem since he was conversant in French and German from his frequent trips abroad. When he was 14, he went off to boarding school before he, of course, went to Harvard, where he received his BA in history before entering Columbia Law, where he didn't bother finishing because instead he just passed the bar 3 years later in 1907 and didn't bother to graduate. So, 0 hands.
No hands.
0 hands.
Huh, 0 hands. Well, no Harvard 1904 alums here tonight. Oh, okay. All right. That's weird.
Well, Tom, you sound a bit bitter.
Yes.
So if it's any consolation, you'd whip his ass in a race.
Not on his rascal, though.
No.
He soups that thing up. You can put nitrous in him. There's a whole... Yeah. Fucking awesome.
Steam-powered.
I can't wait to be old.
That'd be the best sequel to Fast and Furious.
It's got like a raccoon skull on the front of it, you know? So while he was in school, FDR's cousin, Theodore Roosevelt, became president, which FDR found terribly inspiring. After all, if one Roosevelt could do it, well, by gum, maybe any old Roosevelt could.
Yeah. If you change the last name, that was Jeb Bush's campaign slogan, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And George W.'s fucking life slogan.
It was.
All right, in 1902, he met and he began to pursue Eleanor Roosevelt. Now, you might have noticed that she was already a Roosevelt. So you might be having some weird thoughts right now about your Pornhub search history, but Eleanor was FDR's 5th cousin once removed. So genetically, like, pretty much not much more related than Ken Ham and that gorilla that knew sign language.
That's pretty fucking related,
That's
though.
pretty close.
Yeah, right,
Right? Yeah.
That's too close.
Since they were unlikely to have babies with Aquaman toes, they decided to get hitched in 1905.
Still not great, though. When your poly relationship is short for polydactyl, it's not a good sign. Don't be like the Duggar family in any way. Yeah.
No.
18 fingers and counting.
A few interesting notes. Franklin's father was, at the time of their marriage, dead. So was Eleanor's father, though she was able to get her uncle, who was then President Teddy Roosevelt, to stand in for him. So, upgrade. Franklin's mother, Sarah, was not a fan of Franklin getting married. She tried to break their engagement. That never worked, so it didn't hear either, and the two were wed and lived together with Sarah, FDR's mom, who had opposed their marriage. And they lived in this ridiculously opulent Springwood estate, and that's kind of weird on its own. But when the couple had a townhouse built in the city, Sarah built a twin of it to live close by. And strangely, Eleanor didn't feel terribly at home in either of those homes.
And just so this is perfectly clear to Eli's mom,
Tom's saying that's a bad thing. A bad thing.
Well, Eleanor, in fact, had a rather long list of things that she didn't like, such as raising children, of which Eleanor said she knew, quote, absolutely nothing about handling or feeding a baby. And so rather than learn it, she outsourced it to the hired help. And it's easier to do unpleasant things like take care of children if you could just pay someone else to do it. So they had 6 kids. Please become a patron. That's the, please.
Or kidnap one of Tom's children. The little one, super cute. I'm just saying. It's got a nickname.
Tom's like, all right, how much ransom for you to keep him, though?
Well, despite having 6 kids, Eleanor describes sex as, quote, an ordeal to be endured. So, would say not a fan, at least not with Franklin. Much more likely was rather more fond of an openly lesbian woman named Lorena Hickok. Now, Eleanor never came out as a lesbian, but her super duper close companion Lorena, well, very much out, very much her close companion. So,
You know, an ordeal to be endured. You know you got to work on your sex game when it's described like crossing the Atlantic in the Mayflower.
Right.
You know? Jesus, man.
A whole new world? Thank you. Compliment. Thank you. My fucking third leg still works, Eleanor. Go fuck yourself. I guess you're more into third eyes. That's fine. That's fine. Whatever you like. Positive.
So FDR, on what is almost certainly not an unrelated note, began an affair in 1914 with his wife's social secretary. That was a woman named Lucy Mercer. In 1918, Eleanor discovered love letters in FDR's luggage, and she was spectacularly pissed. For her part, Lucy wasn't about to marry a divorcee with a bunch of kids, so I guess that was a tougher sell in 1914. Whatever. Anyway, FDR's mom wasn't about to let Eleanor and FDR get divorced, so they stayed unhappily sort of kind of together, though that's only technically accurate.
Or, as we would call it today, polyamory.
Right.
I don't like the cheers. I like the people who got still and quiet and glared at me for that joke.
Look to their left. Are we laughing at this?
To their left and
Are we
right.
laughing at this, honey? Are we laughing at this, honey?
Laughing at this?
Are we laughing at this, honey? Are we laughing at this? I came and saw your burlesque show. I don't know why you're being...
So Eleanor moved to her own separate home, and she devoted herself to social causes, political causes, and her totally platonic lesbian best friend Lorena, and to not seeing Franklin. When Eleanor commits to not being committed, she doesn't commit to that super fucking hard. In 1941, when FDR's health began to fail, he asked Lorena to come back and live with him, and she was like, hard pass, no. For his part, FDR didn't visit Eleanor's apartment until 1944.
Okay, but I feel like 30 years is pretty progressive as a time frame for a 1944 dude to go visit his wife's lesbian love nest, right?
You guys really like Greek pottery, huh?
FDR did, however, visit Lucy again, who was with him the day that he died and with whom he had a lifelong affair. He's also rumored to have had a very brief 20-year affair with his private secretary, Margaret Missy Lahand, and his son referred to the Crown Princess Martha of Norway as his father's girlfriend. So probably made some inroads among the Scandinavians as well.
All right. I have to admit, I was not expecting this essay to include a list of all the mad pussy that FDR was drowning in. So, who knew? Fucking New
Respect,
Yorkers,
right?
am I right? So while I readjust my notes, we'll take a quick break for a little apropos of nothing.
Eleanor, my dear, are you in? Coming? Eleanor, my inaugural ball is coming up, and I wanted to see if you weren't busy, maybe we could go together.
Oh, I hate balls.
How's that?
Gala affairs, they're dreadful, but if I have to, what were you thinking?
How's Tuesday, my dear?
Can't do it, I'll be scissoring.
You what now?
cutting out patterns with my sewing clubs. We're making matching pantsuits.
How about Wednesday, then?
Sorry, that's Strap-On Club.
Wait, what is it?
It's a brand of horse riding gear, husband. We'll talk about our favorites. We compare mounts.
Don't you mean Snap-On?
No, I do not.
Okay, how about Thursday?
Bearded clam diving.
Friday?
Taco night.
Saturday?
Charity dinner at the Y.
That only leaves Sunday, Eleanor.
Sunday.
Yes, Sunday. I'm becoming President of the United States. Can you make it?
No, I'm afraid I'm having lesbian sex with a woman that night.
All righty then, enjoy.
I shall.
My favorite skit ever. All right, we're back. When we last left off, Frankie was elbow deep in a princess. Who else did he fuck, Tom?
Well, I think that pretty much covered it for now.
Okay,
but,
all right.
So despite his education in law, FDR had no interest in pursuing a law practice, and he decided to begin his career in politics. His first real bid for power came in 1910 when he decided to seek election for the state senate, which, since he was super fucking rich, he was able to entirely self-fund, campaign by driving around in a car, which few people had or could afford, and he had the quiet support of his cousin Teddy, despite being on opposite sides of the aisle. So, shockingly, FDR won that bid for the state assembly.
Oh, that's weird. It's almost like being wealthy is some kind of advantage.
You should have seen the size of this dude's bootstraps. They were huge. They're amazing. Because his legs didn't work. His legs don't work, joke.
That's why.
In 1913, FDR was appointed Assistant Secretary of the Navy in exchange for support of Woodrow Wilson. This was rather fortuitous since FDR was kind of savant-level obsessed with the Navy. As in, he had a collection of 10,000 naval books, and I love this part. He claims to have read all but one of them.
Fuck that book. Liar.
Just that book and Infinite Jest, the two he couldn't finish. That's it. So Roosevelt set off instituting crazy naval reforms, such as a promotion system based on merit, rather than whatever other criteria they had been using in the Navy to get ahead.
They used to award rank through mutual combat, Tom, in the Navy. They used to call it dock fighting. Dock fighting.
Actually, now they call it Krav Maga.
Heath, you know who those Krav Maga people hate?
Who's that?
Colin Capoeira.
Oh.
I'm just keeping this up. This is just staying up.
No, it's just
going to be here all week, folks.
When World War I broke out in 1914, FDR was on the side of something they called the preparedness movement, which sounds a lot like, war seems hard. Let's do stuff to be prepared for it. Like build up our military. So the Wilson administration recognized that the military would come in handy for war, and together they worked on establishing the Council of National Defense and the Naval Reserve, and in April of 17, Congress declared war on Germany after Germany attacked some U.S. ships and totally promised there was more where that came from.
False flag. Sorry, false flag. It was a false flag.
All right. I have to point this one out because I get so sick of fucking hearing it. It was 2 years between the time that the Lusitania went down and the time we joined the fucking war. So America joined the war when all of our banks realized they were fucked if the British couldn't pay back those loans.
Yeah.
Also, and a boat sank.
That's okay. The boat, So when war broke out, FDR wanted to enlist, but it turns out if you're rich or useful, they don't let you join the military. And instead he was kept on as assistant secretary of the Navy, where he did a lot of the thinky stuff about how to get the boats, the things they need, and how to get the fighty people on the boats, and other Navy words like deployment and logistics, which he probably learned all of because he read 10,000 Navy books. So
9,999.
Almost. I rounded up. Yeah. So unsurprisingly, he was really good at this job. When the war was over, he helped take apart what wasn't needed, and he refused to dismantle the aviation division, probably thinking that if boat fights were cool, airplane boat fights were fucking awesome.
He was right.
He was definitely right.
Yeah.
We literally just invented airplanes at that point. So it's just a bunch of guys in a wooden squirrel suit getting slingshotted into the sky. the machine gun taped to their back. That must have been crazy exciting. That would be fun to watch.
I would 100% watch that.
I would watch that.
Yeah. After the war, Roosevelt decided to seek the vice presidential nomination. It's not at all clear to me how that worked back then, but it sounds like maybe in 1920, vice president was a job that people wanted rather than a weird consolation prize offered to tools whose primary function appears to be ribbon cutting at the Super Walmart grand opening in second-tier farm towns. Well, anyway, he lost. And since losing is boring unless you're Germany, he returned to New York. And he remembered he was a lawyer, so he started doing that for a while.
Oh, yeah, your fallback career as a lawyer. What was your safe school, the Sorbonne? Jesus Christ.
All right, I'm sorry. Rudy Giuliani is a fucking lawyer.
Fair point.
All right.
Fair point.
This cannot be hard.
Fair.
Remember when he was America's mayor, y'all? Remember that?
Yeah. Town.
All right, so this is the time in our story when FDR gets sick, like really, really sick. Way more than Eli, actually. But a little more than Eli.
Slightly.
About the same as Eli.
Arguable.
So, yeah. The poor fucker came down with fever, symmetric ascending paralysis, facial paralysis, just pooping and peeing everywhere.
This is a lot like Eli.
Yeah. Numbness, and then somehow the opposite of numbness, which is hyperesthesia, which is like everything hurts, and then a descending recovery. Since that illness lasted more than 24 hours, not a hangover. Doctors diagnosed him with polio, since that's what all the cool kids were getting, and some now believe his symptoms were more closely matched Guillain-Barré syndrome, but since Dr. House wouldn't take the case, we can't be really certain.
It wasn't
Right.
lupus, that's true.
Yeah.
It's never lupus.
It wasn't
Never
lupus.
lupus.
He doesn't know what it is.
It's never lupus.
Regardless of whatever it was, he was left paralyzed from the waist down. Side note, this was in 1921. He had mad affairs for 20 years, paralyzed from the waist down. You know what FDR was not? Fucking lazy. That's right.
Yeah.
He's a worker.
Yeah. Lazy was about the only thing he wasn't fucking.
You know what else he was not? He was not a whiner or a coward. This guy's paralyzed, but he wanted to show everybody he was still strong, so he taught himself to walk short distances by wearing iron braces and just swiveling his torso around. And just since he was interested in the potential benefits of something called hydrotherapy, he did what anyone would do. He had lots of money to do it and no interest in self-indulgent pity party bullshit. So he used his inheritance to hire a team of physical therapists. He purchased the Meriwether Inn and established a rehabilitation center in Warm Springs, Georgia. And then he founded the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, which eventually led to the development of the polio vaccine.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Wow.
Right?
So at some point, Jonas Salk was like, dude, Frankie D, check it out. I invented the polio vaccine. And FDR was like, oh, cool. Pretty sure I said cure. Pretty sure I said cure. But no, that's fine. That's fine. That's great work. That's awesome. I'm really happy for the people who don't have polio. They have it really hard. Awesome. No, great fucking job.
Good day to you, sir.
I said good day.
Yeah, that was awkward. In 1928, FDR won a landslide victory to become governor of New York, securing the seat by a 1% margin.
Still several percent more than Trump got.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Still, you guys should have seen the crowd at the inauguration. It's fucking huge.
Alternative facts.
There were.
Anyway, fired up the radio, and FDR began his fireside chats as a way to not only reach his constituents, but to pressure the legislature by making issues and positions public and thereby control the narrative.
Fireside chats to fire off tweets. We've come so far. We've come so far, guys.
Yeah, now we have the Fury side chats. Yeah.
Brought it all down, everybody.
That was an awesome joke.
In 1929, the Wall Street crash ripped through the American economy, and while Hoover and his administration adopted if you put your head under the blankets, the monsters can't foreclose on your mortgage approach,
Yeah.
Roosevelt advocated for unemployment insurance and established a state employment commission.
Or, as your uncle calls it, socialism.
Now, when Roosevelt ran again for governor, his platform had become much more fully progressive. He was in support of infrastructure projects like hydroelectric dams, aid for farmers, pensions for the elderly, These crazy ideas won him his second term by a 14% margin, but let's not take any lessons from this. Clearly, the American people want us to not solve their problems.
Who the fuck sent me this pension check? Am I being detained?
By 1932, Hoover had failed to fix anything at all, actually. And so FDR ran for president, again on a platform of harebrained ideas such as securities regulation and tariff reductions and farm relief and government-funded public works projects. And he won all but 6 states, and this is a weird concept, but also the popular vote? That too.
That's cool.
Weird. Now, but to be fair, though, I'm sure like if he realized that fuck Mexicans would have done the trick, he probably wouldn't have bothered with all that other shit.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
he just
right.
didn't know the secret yet.
There were no Mexicans in the list of people he was fucking earlier.
Oh,
No,
no,
it's
you're
not.
right. It wasn't.
But it might not have been an exhaustive
Fuck
list.
Scandinavians. Yeah, I got you.
By the end of Hoover's term, the banking system was in full collapse. And by the time of FDR's inauguration, the Great Depression was at its worst. 2 million people were homeless. 32 of the 48 states had closed down their banks. Immediately, FDR declared a 4-day bank holiday and passed the Emergency Banking Act, which gave the president the power to open and close banks and gave to the Federal Reserve the authority to issue banknotes. When the banks reopened the next Monday, stock prices rose 15%, bank deposits exceeded withdrawals, and the bank panic was ended. The nation needed to celebrate, so the next week, FDR signed the Cullen-Harrison Act and ended federal prohibition. So pretty good first 18 days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, the gauntlet's thrown, though. The next president has to beat that with UBI and pot legalization in the first 17 days.
There you go.
Yes. Andrew Yang, No Illusions 2020. Let's do this.
Whoa.
You know what? That would work too, because I'm pretty sure I'd get frustrated enough to strangle that motherfucker early.
Right?
Right? President
Strangle him with
me.
the tie he doesn't wear at fucking debates. Lazy.
All right, so the next step would obviously be to play golf at this point, right? But this was the 1930s, and I think being president used to be a full-time job.
Well, also paraplegia. Not a lot of golf.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's...
Swing at the hips. Swing at the hips.
Hilarious. Skits people can't see at home.
So instead, FDR established the Federal Emergency Relief Administration and the Public Works Administration to build big shit like roads and dams and all that stuff. And the Civil Conservation Corps, which put 250,000 young men to work on rural projects. Then he expanded the Reconstruction Finance Corporation to increase funding for railroad and industry. He established a Federal Trade Commission to provide mortgage relief to millions of farmers and homeowners, and tasked the Agriculture Adjustment Administration to subsidize high commodities prices by paying farmers to restrict supply.
Agricultural subsidies, folks, because the Etruscans would have been boring.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah, it's just-
Can't do
it's
it.
just- I'm getting to... Fine. All right. They'll
The
literally
people
chant
outside
anything.
have to wonder what the fuck kind of show we're doing in there.
Can they hurry up in there? My one-man improv show starts at 11.
All right, well, since government has no role in effective governance, FDR then said, it's true, FDR then said about creating the FDIC, which is why when you put money in the bank, you get to take it back out, even if Jimmy Stewart tries to give it away. Then he created the Security and Exchange Commission because he probably thought America didn't enjoy the first crash and didn't want it to happen again.
So basically, he created the Department of GOP Wrangling.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then we spent the next 85 years dismantling it
Yes.
as much as possible.
Yes.
And by we mean your shitty uncle who thinks that word means socialism.
Fuck that guy.
Seriously, any day now, Mitch McConnell, he's going to be giving a speech on the Senate floor about, like, gutting Dodd-Frank some more. FDR's going to drift into that shit in a DeLorean. What the fuck are you guys doing? What did I just say? And your boy Trump's going to get impeached and resign. Suck it.
Fuck yeah.
That's the timeline I want to live in. All right, so there's more.
Get a DeLorean.
FDR and a DeLorean. Yeah.
There's a stunning, spectacular, crazy amount more that this guy did. There was a Tennessee Valley Authority, which is the single largest federal infrastructure project in American history. And then he created Social Security because old people can't work and young people don't want to visit them. It's true. Then he established the Work Progress Administration, and under his administration, workers won the right to collective bargaining through unions. The country was in crisis, and of his many policies, Roosevelt said this, quote, "The country needs, and unless I mistake its temper, the country demands bold, persistent experimentation. It is common sense to take a method and to try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something."
Yeah, and then the American people were like, nah, we're cool with this cycle of trickle-down economics and massive deregulation followed by an economic downturn every 8 years. That's what we were hoping for.
Nice.
Fucking conservative economists acting like they're free market Yoda. There's like, do not. There is no trying. No trying. And no doing. Just nothing. Fuck you. Do your job. You're an economist. Do your job. It's not nothing.
I'm so glad one person yadded it. He's like crowd work economy. Am I right?
I am right.
Commonalities of the people, huh? Post-Trotskyite.
But it's an economy about nothing. No, fuck you. The Seinfeld School of Economics is not a thing. Absolutely. No.
All right. Yes.
Well, I've never worn blackface. It's true. That basically qualifies me.
It doesn't disqualify you is the problem. All right, well, Americans like the whole let's try to fix it approach. And so they elected the shit out of him again in 1936. He won 60% of the popular vote, and he won every state except Maine and Vermont. And it's reasonable to assert that those aren't even real states anyway.
Well, and also I'm pretty sure Bernie already had Vermont locked down by the mid-30s.
That's fair. Yeah. So a bunch of stuff about the Supreme Court happened, but I thought everyone here was having a good time, so I'm going to skip all the Supreme Court stuff since no one in recent memory has said the words Supreme Court and smile.
Yeah. But some people have woken up groggy with their underwear on backwards after saying Supreme Court. So
Hey, that's not fair. I have a sentence that has Supreme Court in the end that I smile about.
No, absolutely not, Eli.
Edit their ears.
No.
I can't edit that.
Boy, is Eli not miming anything at all right now. There sure isn't any visual humor here. Casper mattresses are pretty good. I love those things.
Right, but no, if there's one thing we did learn from FDR, we need to pack the court with a couple dozen cybernetic androids of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes.
As soon as possible.
All right, now
suits, whatever we come up with.
He's gotten a taste of this fucking applause break shit, and now he's going for it. Pretty soon he's going to be going like
RBG.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Pretty soon he's going to be, let's hear it for the fucking teachers over here and shit.
Let's go, Yankees. Does anybody know the score? They're playing right now.
I've literally gotten to use this live show to watch Heath discover crowd work, and it's my favorite thing in the world. And now it's time for clapping. You guys, don't fuck this up for me. They clap when I say fucking clapping. I got 4 years of college to get approval from.
All right.
I am not a disappointment to my dad.
I am, though.
All right. No, you're not. FDR expanded the national park and national forest system, and during this terrible reign of socialist terror, park attendance went from 3 million a year to 15.5 million a year. And then the dirty socialists working for the CCC planted 2 billion stupid trees that no one wants. And 3,000 miles of trails and thousands of miles of roads. And of course, all of this came with a terrible price. Government spending rose from 8% of the GDP to 10.2%. And the national debt doubled from what it was under Hoover, a nightmare scenario only buoyed by an economy that grew 58%.
Jesus. Fuck.
From 1932 to 1940. Unemployment when FDR took office was 23.5%, and his crazy policies only dropped that number 10% by 1940. So a hellish dystopian nightmare if ever there was one.
Yeah, there was basically no incentive to be rich at that point, other than being rich.
Yeah. Okay.
Scrooge McDuck was just sadly sitting on his diving board.
Adorable.
That was why even bother in Scrooge McDuck. For those
That's
of you.
not even Scrooge McDuck's voice.
doesn't
That's
matter.
Donald, but yeah.
Oy vey, why even bother?
Was that Juge McDuck?
I've only seen pictures of Scrooge McDuck, so I figure.
All right. Well, since his first 2 terms were marred by the scandal of success, FDR ran for and won 2 more terms, though the threat and then actuality of a minor skirmish in Europe and Asia may have had something to do with that.
Ugh. Sequels. You just can't anybody make an original war anymore?
So by 1940, it seemed prudent to begin to expand and re-equip the Army and the Navy and just about anyone that might want a tank or a boat full of guns and could wave an American flag around. So FDR began the Lend-Lease program, which basically meant that anyone on the Allied side of the conflict that we were totally not going to get into, well, they could borrow a bunch of money for military aid and then not pay it back ever, no problem.
Yeah, we didn't do Lend-Lease with aircraft, though. That was a different program. Mayday loans is what we did. Mayday loans. Mayday, something they say on a plane. Mayday.
All right. At this point, guys, things get complicated, but FDR also threw up a great big middle finger to Japan, and he cut off their oil supply and then declared that the Philippine Army was now under his command, just in case he's...
That's the best!
Right? Mine. I called it. I called it. You guys should have called it. And Japan was super pissed about this, so they flew a bunch of their planes to Pearl Harbor, where we had, parallel parked our whole fucking Navy in neat rows, and then, painted the tops of everything with big X's, so, We declared war on Japan, and Japan had a my enemies are your enemies rule with Germany and Italy, and now we were fully in this shit. It would be a Dan Carlin-length thing to go into the whole World War II story here, so the theater's going to kick us out at some point. Let's hit a few high points. FDR formed this new thing he was calling the Joint Chiefs of Staff to make the military decisions. And for the most part, FDR didn't try to play Risk with the world. He let the killy guys make the murder decisions because sometimes you need to know you don't know anything. Although he did recognize it would be a really good idea to get nuclear weapons before Hitler, so he also greenlit that project.
So you mean he's also basically directly responsible for nuclear weaponry, guys? This guy is awesome.
I was faking.
Our nuke fan. We got a nuke fan up here.
So FDR ran again in 1944, and he won with Harry Truman as his running mate. And if you're ever who cares who the Veep pick is? Well, read a fucking book, because this really matters.
Yeah.
On April 12th, 1945, FDR announced that he had a terrible headache, and he wasn't faking it because then he flopped over and died. And since his health problems were kept from the American people, the nation was shocked, although if you see a picture of him at the end, you wouldn't be.
No.
He's about to die. He's like, Eleanor, come here. I got last words. This is going to be awesome. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself and polio, I guess. Add polio. Add that to my thing. And if we're ranking them, polio and then fear itself.
So the war ended 1 month after FDR died. So all that lousy socialist did for America was establish basically every regulatory body and commission you rely on every day, save the American economy, empower the American working class, and guide America through an existential military threat, all while paralyzed and still having time for 5 affairs.
Wow. Woo. Yeah, no shit.
A lot of pro-adultery in this audience,
fans
right?
of affairs,
yeah.
yep.
Affairs.
Yeah.
None of you get to be president of American Atheists.
All right. Jesus.
One of you. It's okay.
All right, so Tom, if you had to summarize everything you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
I'm lazier than I ever thought possible.
I knew you could do it, Tom.
I did too. Yeah.
All right, so are you ready for the quiz?
Let's start a fire and chat, Noah.
All right, Tom, I'm going to go first here. As mentioned earlier, FDR was a prodigious reader. What was his favorite book? A, The Man in the Iron Lung. B, Terms of Internment. We kind of fucking skipped right over by the way.
We?
Like a fucking stone, we skipped over that. C, The Old Man in the FDIC. Or anything by Edgar Allan Poe.
I have so many options with D. I'm going to have to go with anything by Edgar Allan Poe. It's a nightmare.
Nevermore.
Obviously.
All right, Tom, which of the following was the best Secret Service code name they gave FDR over the years? A, First Chair. B, Frail to the Chief. C, Ricketts Red Glare. Or D, Ramp David.
Ramp David.
Okay, so I'm going to have to go with Frail to the Chief. No, First Chair, I think he played the flute. First Chair. I can picture it.
Did he get it correct? Or
This game doesn't make sense. Nobody knows how the game works. Nobody knows.
All right. Tom, FDR was notorious for having an amazing sense of humor about polio jokes, just so everybody knows. With that firmly established,
right.
that is locked in. Which of the following was the title that FDR wanted for his autobiography? Was it A, Lame Duck? For 12 years. Was it B, the CCC Ripple Effect?
Oh, no.
I'm going to live in this one. CCC Ripple Effect. Nope. Okay. C, My Ideas Have Legs. Or D, New Deals on Wheels.
New Deals on Wheels.
I think the crowd answered that one. It's the CCC Ripple Effect.
Incorrect.
Actually correct, because for some reason, this time Cecil is our winner.
Thank you, Noah. Why don't you do the next essay? Let's do it that way.
I thought that meant you had to do the next essay. Okay. All right. Well, then I got a lot of fucking writing to do during this intermission. So for Cecil, Eli, Heath, and Tom, I'm Noah. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We're going to be back next week and or after the intermission, depending on where you are in space-time. And by then, I will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you should drink more in case my essay sucks.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us, I will give you Eli's cell phone number if you will buy Heath a drink. Yes. Or check out citationpod.com.
All right.